Shrapnel.
All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to Film Shrapnel, your number one spot for everything movies. And welcome back. Me and Craig have had a bit of a hiatus from Film Shrapnel. We haven't recorded in about a month, have we?
About a month, yeah. We were both away, so
Lots of holidays.
nothing bad happened. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing bad happened. We were just having a little break, recharging. I went island hopping and other places. Good fun.
Yeah.
Good travelling. So today we thought we'd come back with a bang. I've been nagging Craig to watch this film for, God, I don't know how long, but
At least a year, I would say.
Oh, way longer. Well, I've been nagging you to do a podcast on it for sure, but I've definitely mentioned this to you in the past. But this is it's one of these weird films that I just fucking love. We're talking Lifeforce, 1985.
Yeah. This, I don't know, because you were wondering what I would think about this film.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting one. It's one that I would say is definitely influential. It's definitely like a B movie that maybe doesn't get much attention, but you know that other film guys have definitely watched it and it's given them some ideas for sure.
And there's loads going on. Like, it gives you everything. You know, aliens, vampires, and zombies all in one kind of creature.
And space.
And space. And soul transference and shit. Like, naked women. It's just got there's so much. It's ridiculous. Like, Matilda May, she is naked the whole film. Like, the whole film. What do you think of Matilda May? I'm very much in love with her, of course.
Well, one of the first notes I wrote down was this film was made by a couple of pervs.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Straight away.
Absolute perverts, yeah. And so, yeah, that's right. We're talking space vampires today. That's the name of the book that this was based on, by the way, Craig.
I know. I saw it when the credits rolled on, based on space vampires. And I thought, that's just rude. Because I went into this film knowing nothing. I was like, okay, let's go in this raw and see what happens. And I saw based on a novel called Space Vampires. Okay, I have a clear idea of what to expect from this now.
Yeah. Well, look, can you see why I've been recommending it to you?
Yeah, you know what I will say? There are some things that grated on me a bit. I found it a bit too English at certain points.
Yes.
Some of they're just too posh. This dusty kind of 80s looking style of making films. It feels very dated. Dated for now. This film is only 7 years older than I am, but it feels really old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was going to talk about it. It's probably a bit further down the line. I think I always do this. I end up talking about something and get excited and I have to tell you something big. But what I really liked about this film, which I think is really influential, and I can see a lot of other films from it, is when it starts going really crazy with all the zombie shit towards the end. Mm-hmm. There are some shots, there are some parts that I think, wow, that's really quite impressive looking. Like when they had all the zombies, if I can even call them zombies, because there's something between zombies and vampires, just all their bodies laid out in front of the church. They're just drained of life. And the first thing I'm thinking of is 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
They had a very similar thing, just piles of bodies on these very well-known buildings in the center of London. It just immediately reminded me of that.
I think you're right. There's definitely a lot of filmmakers out there that have watched this and drawn from this. But let's not forget that this film also has drawn from other stuff too.
Of course, yeah.
I feel that this film, what I like about it is it feels so unique in that it is totally ridiculous. You will never see another film quite like it. However, there are definitely elements that feel very familiar as well. Like you can feel this sort of nostalgia for 2001: Space Odyssey at the beginning when we see like these sort of space shots of spaceships. The way they shoot like the umbrella ship is very Stanley Kubrick, but the design of it is also very Alien as well, very Ridley Scott style. So
very fleshy.
Yeah. So you can see that they've taken like elements of that, like this sort of organic design of the umbrella ship, and it looks really cool. So yeah, there's something unique about it, but also familiar. But do you not think the set design also, like when they first go inside the vampire ship and the interiors, it really feels like a film that had like a lot of money invested into it. Like, and for a film that's about space vampires, you think, why did anyone put any money into this? And I'm glad they did, because we get something so weird and unique.
Yeah, I mean, I think when at the beginning of the film, when you first see the spaceship flying with all these, like, is it like solar panels on it that stretch out like wings? Something like this. I thought that was kind of like some early looking kind of, not exactly CGI, but something like that. But okay, I wasn't expecting to be like that.
So I'm just going to look it up. I want to see what the budget was. All right, so they had a budget. I don't know if they had a budget of 25 million, and that was back in 1985. So
that's very big.
That's a big budget for sure, and it only made 11 million.
So it was a flop.
Yeah. So we go and explore the ship. We find like a bunch of dead vampire creatures, 3 perfectly preserved humans, quote unquote.
So we have this one American. Is he a colonel? I guess he's a colonel or something. Carlson.
Carlson, yeah. So he's from the States. Yeah, he's our leading man.
Yeah, although he does take a bit of leap of absence at one point in the film, like early on. But
yeah, he's not in the first. He's in the first sort of like 10-15 minutes, and then he's not in it until like the 45-50 minute mark. But then he's like the main character.
Yeah.
For the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he develops like some kind of connection to the sexy vampire lady,
Matilda May.
Yeah, Matilda May, and they explain it that the way that she looks is kind of like an image taken from his mind, and so I assume I guess all the vampires in this, they don't really look like how they look, if that makes sense. It's just a projection of how like in our minds of how they look, right?
They look like the vampire things that were dead at the beginning.
Yeah, it's just that they're using this to mask how they look. Otherwise, the idea of finding humans in space is a bit too mental, isn't it?
Yeah,
humanoid creatures. But one of the things I will say that kind of bugged me a bit about this film is that a lot of explaining comes through Carlson. Like he just has this connection and he understands everything. Oh yeah, you see that big all those lights flying up to the sky? Yeah, they're the souls of people that have been taken and going to the ship. Like, how do you know? I just feel it.
This is it. It's really lazy writing. It's very concise, which is sometimes good, but it is super, super lazy. You know, you get so much context in one line of dialogue that, like, if you miss it, you know, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. If it weren't for the fact that they're connected, then, you know, there'd be very little film left. They wouldn't know where to go.
Yeah. You know what? Did you also think that the guy who played Carlson looks a bit like Tommy Lee Jones?
Oh, no. You know what, now that you said it, no.
No, I thought at certain angles he looks a bit like him. And I thought, they're both from Texas. Maybe they're distant cousins or something.
Well, I was going to say, do you think like they're the same person or something?
No, not at all.
Like this guy did Lifeforce, and he was so embarrassed by it that he went off and changed his name to Tommy Lee Jones and got a new face.
Also possible.
Did you notice? I did point. I was going to point this out later. We only see the male space vampires for a little bit. We see Matilda May like completely naked the whole movie. They actively don't show any dick and balls.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that till now. But yeah, there's no dick and balls in this. Only boobies and vag. Just
a shadow of them. But yeah, they're no problem with a woman, like a female body. But a male body, they're too uncomfortable to show. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's like, yeah, this film really is of its time.
Yeah, the male gaze, of course. And I was also thinking about like when I first made my first note about the film being made by perverts, I was just thinking about the part where Matilda May's character breaks out of the this space agency that they have, and she just walks down, and then later they find a woman's body who's like had the life sucked out of her, and she's naked.
Oh,
yeah. And the two guys that found them were like saying, like, they saw her approaching the other woman, and she was naked. And they went away, but then they came back again, just to see if they would do anything. Like, fuck's sake.
And they say it in such a way that it's like, you guys get it, right? And they do.
And the police say, yeah.
Yeah, the police are just sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, that flies. All right.
Fucking, yeah, nuts.
Yeah, man. Like I say, definitely a product of its time.
Yeah. Speaking of being a product of its time, it's interesting how, like, it kind of shows Britain's position in the world, like, back then, or at least the idea of what we thought we were. Like, having a joint space program with the Americans, as if that would ever be a thing.
Yeah.
Now, like, it's always like, if it was like, it would always, like, such a space mission would just always be international, wouldn't it? Maybe America would have a bit more involvement, but it would always be an international thing. It wouldn't be like America and like just one other country. So it's interesting to see the trying to project how big we are and how close we are, America and Europe, and how vital we are. And how it just feels funny looking at that now today, because I don't think that's the case anymore.
No, I mean, like, it didn't feel right at all, did it? You know, because the spaceship itself was called the Churchill as well. It's like, no,
yes,
like, I just don't buy it at all. It feels too cartoonish, that. But I don't mind it. It does feel like another world. That's what I like about it. It does feel like a sort of alternate reality.
It feels like a Doctor Who episode a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not too big on Doctor Who, to be honest.
I know you're not.
I've never been. Yeah, I liked it a little bit when I was young, and it had Eccleston. What's his name? Something Eccleston.
Christopher Eccleston. Yeah.
Yes, I liked it when he was in, and then like it just got kind of stupid, and I thought, okay, I'm not interested in this anymore. I don't like episodic things as well, so maybe that's why I don't like Doctor Who. But yeah, this does really feel like a Doctor Who episode, but a bit more grown up because it's got boobies and stuff in it.
It has got boobies.
It has, yes.
Well, I kind of like how they tell the story, although I was going to ask your opinion on it. But like, we see them discover the space aliens. They take the naked ones onto the ship, and then it cuts 30 days later to like the English mission control for NASA again, like that would ever happen. And they have to go up and get the ship, and when they get there, the ship has like been burnt up on the inside, and there's an escape pod missing. So we have this 30-day time jump. So I speculate, because I've never read the book Space Vampires, and I don't plan on it. But I was wondering what you thought. I was wondering that maybe if it weren't for the fact that Alien had come out, like, and there've been numerous Alien films and they were already quite popular, that they then maybe they would have had featured this part of the story in the film, but because they don't want to be likened to Alien, they just make it in like flashbacks and just gloss over most of it. And when we find out what went down, the crew was picked off one by one, and we find out eventually that Carlson ended up releasing her, who was giving him energy and taking their energy, killing them, and all that bollocks. So, you could imagine that being a pretty decent movie on its own. Just that one, like what happened in that 30 days, and we just get it in flashback, trickled throughout the film. But
it'd be very psychological.
Yeah, but you can't help but think that if they, like, maybe they did want to have that as like the sort of first half of the film, but it was just too similar to Alien. Because it's the same structure, isn't it? So instead they just go, no, fuck it, we'll talk about it, in the space of 10 minutes, spread across the rest of the film. And instead we'll tell the more mental side, mental part of the story, all the space vampire zombies, and Patrick Stewart's first on-screen kiss.
Well, you said that there was a gay kiss in this film, but it wasn't really a kiss. There wasn't a kiss. They got pretty close.
Patrick Stewart and that guy and Carson kiss.
They did not. Not in the one I saw.
Yeah,
they got super close, but it wasn't a kiss.
They definitely kiss.
I did not see a kiss. No.
They definitely kiss. Definitely. Patrick Stewart has gone on record to say it's his first on-screen kiss.
I have to Google this now because I did not see.
Google it. They kiss.
But I was like waiting for it. Oh, okay, I see they're leaning in, but it didn't happen.
It happened. They kiss. Because he's possessed by Matilda May.
I'm seeing him kiss a lot of different men. Mostly Ian McKellen for gay pride or something. But I can't find a picture of him. We'll have to research this because I remember you telling me that there was a gay kiss in this. And I was like, okay, where is it? It's been a long time. I was expecting it to be one of the two young guys, the young vampires.
Whoa. I feel like I didn't say a gay kiss. I said Patrick Stewart's first on-screen kiss, and it's with a man. Like, I feel like you're really reducing my the point I made to such a minimal version of the information that it makes me sound pretty awful. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
All right. Well, we'll have to debate this because I can't find anything, and I'm pretty sure I saw them just get very close, and then nothing happened, and then they backed off.
They kiss. So all the crew are dead, and then we're introduced to the British lead, which is this guy. Is his name Kane?
The detective guy.
Yeah.
He's also supposed to be a colonel, but I always thought of him like he's a detective. But yeah, I think we meet him. Yeah, who's like our secondary guy.
Do you not feel that he is like really uncharismatic?
A little bit, and he's very posh.
Yeah.
I actually looked him up because he looked really familiar, and I think he's in Spooks. If you ever watched that.
No, I'd never seen Spooks. I know of it though. But I feel like everyone in this, they're not very charming.
No.
Everyone's performance feels a little bit wooden, but not like, how do I put it? Just a bit over the top, a bit cartoonish is all.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel too out of place for this film, though.
No,
completely.
It feels right with the world. It feels right with the world we're watching.
Yeah.
But everyone feels just a little bit vacant. Just a touch.
I think it's because they're making the film about space vampires.
Maybe. Yeah, you're right. Actually, maybe that is it. But I do love Matilda May in this. She doesn't do much
she's
as well, but I do love
she's
her.
great. I did find the book, by the way. It's called The Space Vampires, and it came out in 1976, which I believe is a few years before Alien, if I'm right.
I think Alien's 77.
Is it? Let me also check that.
Pretty sure.
79.
Really?
Yeah, so this Space Vampires is before Alien. But Alien, the film, comes out before Lifeforce, so there you go. And it is, by the way, 120 pages long, so it's not a very long book.
Oh, I'll definitely have to read that then. Probably should have tried to find it before the pod. So where are we in the plot?
So So basically, they brought back the three bodies. They brought back one alien body, and of course they find three naked people, so they bring them back. And we're back on Earth.
We go back on Earth. We're introduced to this guy who you say is in spooks, and then they start like examining the space vampires, and Matilda May wakes up and just drains the shit out of this young guard guy,
who's also a pervert because he's like, I guess he's all by himself. So he thought, okay, let's touch up the naked alien lady.
Well, I thought they do a very active job in trying to say that you just can't help yourself. Like she has this sort of, not pheromone, but like this sort of telepathic, like you need to, like.
You need to touch me.
You need to touch her, yeah. Because vampires they have like they have like supernatural allure, don't they? That is part of their mythos. And yeah, but they just sort of tried to science it up a bit more in this one. Like they're more telepathic.
They do mention, so again, they mentioned that Carlson, basically she's made out of an image in his mind, basically. So do you think that everyone else sees them differently? Or do you think that they were taken for one person's mind and projected to everybody else's?
I was going to say that they're the two options, aren't they? That like everyone sees what they want to see, or because she says that they mention at the end that she chose Carson, and so maybe it's specifically from his mind she became the perfect woman. But then, did those two lads? Do they also connect with him and become men that he likes?
I don't know, because it wasn't just him that was there. Like when they find the body, there was two other guys, I think, with him.
There's a female astronaut with them as well.
Yeah.
Because she eye rolls when they all talk about how hot Matilda May is. And understandably so, but because like I say, like they're in the middle of like space. But yeah, understandable that she eye rolls because they're way more interested in pretty lady and boobies than oh wow, look, we just discovered alien life.
Yeah, there's not a big deal made out of it though, is there? Like they just discovered alien life. Presumably, it's like the first time ever they've come across alien life, and they're so okay, we'll bring him back, and then like you do feel that would be like the biggest news ever.
Exactly, yeah, and like they just want to suck face.
Basically, yeah.
Anyone who's within a direct radius just wants to suck face. But I was going to say the effects. I've got it here. Do you want to have a guess as what production group made these effects? What I'll say is if you can guess the other big blockbuster film that the effects department were responsible for.
Is it a British movie?
No, it's an American movie, and I would say the special effects in this are very reminiscent. The finale of this movie, the effects work in it is very, very reminiscent of the finale of this other big blockbuster movie, where people are running through, like, panicking in the streets and all this crazy shit's going on.
Is it one we done for the podcast?
No, it isn't.
Ah.
I'd say it's. I'll give you a huge clue. It's probably one of the most well-loved comedies of the 80s.
Well-loved comedies of the 80s.
Yeah, huge clue.
That's a lot of things to.
You know it's crazy shit going on, but it's also a comedy, and it's well known. People love it.
Oh, I hate when you do this to me. I can never think of anything. I'm thinking of the Blues Brothers for some reason.
You know what? You are so close. You have no idea. You are on fire with saying that, like, you're thinking Blues Brothers. You are on fire.
Is it anything with Bill Murray in it?
Yes.
It does have Bill Murray in it. Ah.
Yes. Bill Murray's not in Blues Brothers.
No, but I do think of, when I think of 80s comedies, I do think of Bill Murray.
But there might be someone in Blues Brothers as well that's in this. God, you're so on fire here. You're on fire.
Is anything with Steve Martin in it?
No, God, you've gone way cold.
Ah, okay. Fuck him. I don't know, man. Tell me, please. I can't take it any longer. Go on.
You've got Bill Murray, and you've got it's special effects all over a city where people are going crazy.
Oh, okay. Jesus now Christ. I get it. It's Ghostbusters, isn't it? It's Ghostbusters. Yes. There we go.
It is Ghostbusters. Yeah, the effects team that were responsible for Ghostbusters did this one as well. And I think once you know, you can really see it. Once you know that it's the same team, the same group of people, and then you see all the shit they do, it's like, oh, of course. Like, I absolutely see it. Like, it's almost copy and paste some of the effects.
Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah. Interesting.
And another reason why I think it feels very familiar, while also being unique, because there are some effects in it that are, like, nuts, where you're like, I was not expecting that. Like, what about the blood effect, where all the blood comes out of Patrick Stewart and then morphs together to become like a bloody Matilda May?
Yeah, that was probably one of the most fucked up parts of the film. Most messy and gory.
Pretty cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, the mannequin of Patrick Stewart looks like it's not Patrick Stewart, but needless to say, it's still really cool. Really cool.
Patrick Stewart looks older in this film than he does in Star Trek in the 90s. Did you also feel that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I actually have that written down here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just because he has the hair on the sides and back of his head, but not on the top, and it's kind of greyish. But then Star Trek, he just shaves it all off, so he looks younger.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, though, isn't it? When he was young, he had it round the sides, and it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you just get rid of the lot?
I mean, if it was me, if I was going bald on the top like that, if I completely lost everything on the top, I would just shave it all off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going completely bald.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree more. I've got a note here, by the way. You know when she first attacks the guy who's groping her? First one.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who's watching them on the monitor, did you notice how far he had to go to get to him? And, like, for a facility that's watching some aliens, he doesn't go past a single person, and no one is watching this alien, like, door. Did you notice this?
It's just was not a very well guarded facility. Like, it's a space agency, and there's like almost no one there. It's just some building in central London with, like, basically a few guards, and of course none of them know anything when we see them. You'd think, like, especially with alien life,
Exactly.
Like
That's the thing.
enormous thing.
Exactly. That's the thing I can't get around. It's like, did you really overlook that you would need a lot of fucking members of staff here? Like, it's ridiculous how far he has to go. And no one is there to help him out either.
Yeah.
And
it's like again, it's not a big deal.
People.
Yeah. I do feel that this film does make me think about, like, if we ever did find alien life, like, would it be safe on, like, a biological level to even meet them? Because we still get stories in the news today about, like, for example, influenza is becoming a big thing. COVID, when that happened, is like because of, like, people being exposed to stuff they weren't exposed to before. There's a long history of this, like people going to new places, coming into contact with people from other countries or like other animals and something, and then they contract diseases. Like, I imagine the same thing would be true. Like, if we ever went to an alien planet, how would we know that we can just, like, can even touch or something? You know what I mean? Like, how easy something could be spread, and we'd have no knowledge of it.
I feel like if it was Matilda May, I'd get over it fast.
Well, that's why she has to look that way, right? Yeah. So you're not afraid.
Because this is the thing. This is a very logical question that no one asks themselves. The whole movie.
But also many other sci-fi things.
Are anyone in hazmat suits when they deal with the aliens? I don't think they are.
I think at the beginning there's a couple of, not exactly hazmat suits, but they have masks.
Yeah, but when they quarantine London, it's just like a fucking rickety fence that they've, like, put up made of wood.
Yeah.
And, like, when they close the door, it's like it could fall over at any given minute. So how is this a proper quarantine?
Well, you just don't have the time. Mind you, it's not very hard for Kane to break in there, is it? Just kind of drives in.
Yeah, it's literally, you don't want to go in there. Yeah, no, I don't. And then he just goes in anyway.
Yeah.
That's it. That was enough for the guards. That was enough. Somehow.
Also, by the way, I'm jumping ahead a bit here, but what exactly happened at the end? They get
hang on. So the thing is, the ending, it's so abrupt, isn't it? It
is quite abrupt, and it leaves so many questions unanswered.
Well, right. Where's my notes on the end? Because I suppose we should talk about it in detail later, but, like, the film just ends, and when Carlson, I know without going through all the context, it's really hard, but, like, he kills Matilda May and himself, I guess, still in the middle of coitus, and then the vampires are immediately sucked up into the ship, trapped once more. Then the ship flies up, and then in brackets I've got, is Carlson now on the ship too? And then I
think he is.
And then the film just ends here with Kane looking at the sky. And that's that was the note. That's the last 4 lines I wrote when I watched the film. I mean, except my final review. Do you want me to skip to my review? Quite fun. We're
40 minutes in.
Yeah, I know.
Go on, then.
We've still got loads of film to talk about. So I've written 10 out of 10. Nothing to dislike. Pure fun. and totally original, all the while very familiar. Abrupt ending, but the characters didn't really get developed enough to warrant an emotional ending. This is an event film of the best kind. That's my final review. Because, like I say, it's really not about character. It is just about what happens. And all the characters are pretty much just vessels for the story to evolve around. And we've said for years, that's bad storytelling. But you know what? For a film this massive, you kind of need that. And, like, especially like when you look at all these Avengers films, they have to build their characters over numerous films before they can get to those big event pieces where character really isn't going to be something they're going to focus on 100%. It's more about all the shit going on. And I feel like in this one, like, there's a little bit of character shit, but mostly it is just excuses for the story to evolve. And for a film like this, I don't think that's necessarily a bad. It's not good, but it's not. I think it kind of works for a film like this.
Yeah, I think also the fact that it's how many years old now? 38 years old or something. I think you can kind of like as we said a couple of times, it's kind of like a product of its time. So I don't know. I mean, do you want to know what it's rated on IMDb?
It's like a 6.1 or something.
Yeah, exactly 6.1, and I think it kind of fits. Maybe I would not put it exactly. Maybe like a 6.5. I might be. You're completely on the 10 out of 10, right?
10 out of 10. I think this film, for what it is perfect. For what it is. This is one of my favourite sort of schlocky B-movie films I think I've ever seen.
Okay, out of sloppy B movies.
I think this. I think I like watching this more than I like watching Alien. Isn't that weird?
I get what you mean about that though. Because with Alien,
it's fun. This one's fun. Like, I like Alien. It's a work of art, but this one, it really, it takes itself so much more seriously than it should. But it's so good, like, in that it still doesn't stop itself from being just super, super fun.
Well, it's not just that. It's just that it kind of it takes leaps. It moves. You know what I mean? Like, we start off in space. We end up with these life-sucking creatures, and then becomes like this whole, like, that London is being cordoned off, and they're considering like nuking it and shit. Like, that's how it evolves. Alien, it's just guys on the ship being hunted down by an alien. So like, I kind of get what you mean about how it moves. It becomes something bigger.
There's just loads going on. I mean, we haven't even talked about like before Carson arrives back on Earth, because he got the escape pod. He doesn't show up until the 40-minute mark-ish. So we're sort of with our English lead for a lot of the film, and we're going around and we find out that, like, the vampires can, like, possess you. This is why Patrick Stewart kisses Carson. And, like, what did you think of all this possession stuff? Because, like, when Carson comes back, then we really get into it, because he can sort of look into his mind and figure out who they're possessing at any given time. So, like, there's even more than just space vampires, aliens, zombies. There's also possession in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you could really remake this, and there's a lot to get out of it. Like, there's a lot I can imagine if you could make this into a TV series. There's so many like, each episode will be such a different thing. And, like, as you said, possession is a big thing. Like, they have a whole part in the film where they can't find where she is, because she just leaves, and they find out that she's possessing multiple people, and, like, what's his name? Carlson can kind of connect with her in these different bodies, and you can kind of see what's happening. And, like, we do move on from that eventually, but it's a very interesting idea. And it just feels like there's so many ideas in this film, I completely forgot that was even a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think they could have fleshed out all of Carson's, like, telepathic abilities a bit more. We never really get a sense of how they work, this link between him and her. They really go through it quite quickly.
They do. By the way, like, I just found there's a documentary called The Making of Lifeforce.
No way.
And it's rated higher than the film.
Really?
On IMDb. Yeah. It's got a 7.1. Okay. Sorry, 7.3, but it's only been rated by like 11 people. So
right, okay. Well, I'm going to have to watch that. I think I'm going to have to watch that because
that would be interesting.
I really like this film. You know, I think there's just so much going on that how can you not? You know, like even the bit where the male vampires wake up and they're like the guards are just mowing them down with machine guns and they're just getting shot and not like it just doesn't faze them at all. Like that was giving me like Terminator 2 vibes as well. Like I'm seeing so many movies in this.
Yeah, I remember that bit, and I was thinking it surprised me because it looked a bit better than I was expecting it to look. If that makes sense. Like, okay, they made that look quite cool actually, because they hadn't had too much action before that point, had they? Only little bits here and there.
So yeah, no, I suppose that was like the first sort of like gun firing bit we got. There is one bit before that where the guy who gets originally attacked by Matilda May, 2 hours later he wakes up, and they all think he's dead. He wakes up, and then he soul sucks someone, and then he becomes normal again. They lock him up, and then someone else, the guy that he soul sucked wakes up, and then he runs at them, but because he's behind bars, when he hits the bars, he just explodes it up.
But that's also because he's past his 2 hours and he needs life force, and he just breaks into dust.
I love the whole breaking into dust. But, right, so you know the guy they poke when the other guy dies, when you know, so he gets soul sucked, comes back, soul sucks the other guy, then they put him in quarantine, and then 2 hours later he becomes all zombie again, and then he can't soul suck anyone. So he just sort of like conks out, right? And then they poke him in the stomach with like a metal bar. And it just breaks up really easily. And he doesn't wake up ever again from that, right?
There was a bit of inconsistency, I felt. But I don't know if I just wasn't paying enough attention.
No, well, here's the question I was going to ask. Do you think that's actually foreshadowing that you need to use a piece of iron to stab them in the stomach in order to kill them? I only realised it at the end, but I was like, oh, maybe that was actually... Because I also, like you, thought that was pretty inconsistent. But then when they say... And don't get me wrong, I've seen the film before, but like again, there's so much movie, you can't remember the whole thing. But then when they get to the end and they talk about this, you know, it's got to be an iron blade and it's got to be below the heart, like sort of in the stomach. Then I was like, well, iron bars in a cell. Maybe it was like foreshadowing how to kill them.
Oh.
And I will say, you might think, well, I mean, it's not a good enough movie for intentions like that. And then I'll just got to make the point. This was directed by Toby Hooper.
I don't know if I know him.
You do.
What has he made?
He's made his first film was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
He was also the director that did Poltergeist, but then people say that Spielberg secretly directed it. But he did Poltergeist as well. So his like two films that you know you've seen that this guy has made are brilliant films.
Yeah, I didn't even think to look him up. I thought he was just some guy who had maybe made like one or two movies and then his career kind of petered out. I didn't even think to check the guy. That's interesting, actually. That's very interesting.
He's actually a proper like good director, Toby Hooper. His career hasn't really gone anywhere since Lifeforce. He peaked.
Oh.
He peaked it.
That's unfortunate. But these films really, like, if this was really what he was great at, they I don't know, they changed since then. They were great in the 80s and maybe a little bit in the 90s, but then we don't really make films like this anymore, do we? The whole thing has changed.
No, this is the thing. This is what I love about this film, is that you won't see anything like this anymore.
It's a time capsule.
It is a time capsule. It really, and the thing is, it's a time capsule to a time where you'd still not see things quite like it too. But like, you know, there's definitely like, it feels very 80s, super 80s.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same tone as like Back to the Future and The Fly, which are technically two completely different tones, but they just feel the same. You know, they feel 80s.
Yeah. I've got one last thing I need to mention that I just saw in my notes that I think, I'm not sure if you'll agree with me on. I found the idea of life force quite silly. Like the literal, that everyone has a life force in their body and you can suck it out. This feels like such a concept that the writer just made up.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. For whatever reason, it's like they want to science-ify the idea of vampires. You know, they don't want to make it too much like the Bram Stoker style vampire. They want to do it like, okay, these are sci-fi vampires. They're trying to sub out one thing for another. And yeah, it's a bit lazy. It's a bit lazy how they explain it.
But again, as you said with like 80s things, that even that concept, like the idea of like having, like just making something up like life force and making it an integral sci-fi thing that drives the plot and the story and is relevant to what the characters are looking for. This feels also very 80s, I think. But didn't really rate it on that. But
I totally agree. You know, the doctor who talks about that, I forget his name, like Fallon or something, Dr. Fanley or something.
Fowler, I think it was Fowler.
Well, I don't know who he is, but I've got it here in my notes. I'm pretty sure I recognise him from one of the old Shaft movies. I refer to him in my notes as Dr. Fallada Van Helsing. He does feel very Van
That's
Helsing-y.
a good. Yeah, it's kind of strange though, because like early on they talk about him being like someone who investigates something like what is life force. Like, I don't know how they just assume that they would need a guy like this when they have aliens from another planet. They just, I don't know how he got involved. Yeah, he looks very familiar. I can see that he was in The Pianist.
Oh.
He died actually like about 8 years ago now.
That's sad.
Yeah, but yeah, I probably we see him in other things similar to this kind of
I do recognise
level of film.
I have to ask. So around the time that the Umbrella ship gets to Earth and everyone starts freaking out, and Carson's already back on Earth, they know that Matilda May is travelling inside that ginger woman with the curly hair, and they go and speak to her. This is before the Patrick Stewart kiss. What was going on with that scene where he's interrogating her and he's just like pretty much beating the living shit out of her and then starts kissing her? And so you're like, oh, the vampire's in her. No, the vampire isn't in her. So it's like, so you just got a bit...
You just assaulted someone for no reason.
You just assaulted someone, like, very sexually charged. And it worked. She got off on it, like that. She makes it clear she enjoys it. And it's not even the fucking vampire.
Yeah, I mean that's not okay. That you can't do that shit anymore in film. No one will let that fly.
I felt that was very James Bond.
Oh, I see what you mean about that, though. Yeah, I get that.
Like I feel that might be a byproduct of like the success of Bond films and how he would just kiss information out of you. He'd fuck you into telling him the truth. Oh, you know, in the final Pandemonium Madness, one of the zombies I noticed it's a nun. So you had a nun zombie.
I saw that, I think, yeah.
I love that, nun zombie. Maybe you could make a movie out of that. You know, Blumhouse.
I think probably someone has already done that, I'm sure. Like just some guy mix and matching different freaking words. Okay, there's a zombie nun, there's a vampire nun, there's a werewolf nun. Got to do all the nuns, anything religious. Probably the same with priest as well. I don't know, anything that could be innocent. Mix it with something horrific. There you go, movie.
Love it. I think Blumhouse should produce Zombie Nun. I think that would work. I really do. I've also got a note here. When Carson finds May at the end, and then she's like, be with me, Carson. I felt that was very. I'm the key master. I'm the gatekeeper from Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm. I haven't watched Ghostbusters in a very long time, so
yeah, but that
my memory.
But that Sigourney Weaver had to get Rick Moranis to fuck her to open the doors for Zool come through.
What?
Yeah.
Explain again.
He's the key master. He's like, I'm the key master. I need to find the gatekeeper.
Right.
Because he's got a dick and she's not.
Oh.
They have to boink. They boink at the end of Ghostbusters, man.
I haven't watched it in a really long time.
Damn.
So I don't remember shit from that film.
Well, you're just going to have to trust me then that it feels very much like the Keymaster Gatekeeper stuff in Ghostbusters.
All right.
Another note I have here, we see Chancery Lane Tube Station. So
I did see a tube station somewhere, yeah.
It was Chancery Lane. That's the Central Line, that is.
Yeah, I do like how I think they made London look really good with the zombies and everything. I think they did a really good job with that.
Oh, yeah, no, I always like seeing London in movies because I know it well. So if you can make London feel like a movie to me, this is it. I could go to New York right now and I will feel like I'm walking around a movie set. But walking around London does not feel like that for me. But so I like it when a movie gives me that for about London, that there are places in London I can go that I can feel like, oh, it's like that movie or whatever. Like Bourne gave me that for a little bit. One of the Bourne films goes to London. I've got a note here. When the male vampire shows up to defend the cathedral, and the English guy's there with the blade, the iron blade that he's retrieved from Dr. Fallada Van Helsing.
Falla. Yeah.
So he says, the male vampire appears, and then he goes, "It'll be much less terrifying if you just come here." And then he stabs him with the blade. He becomes the true vampire form. And then he goes in. Carlson and May are boinking.
While standing up.
Boinking while standing up, which is a talent. And then the last few notes I've already read to you. This is where I talk about how he kills her in mid-coitus. And then the vampires...
And himself, I think.
Yeah, I think he kills himself too. And so, the blade, I think, goes into both of them. And then the vamps are sucked up. Presumably, he's sucked up with her. And then, literally, the film just ends. It's so... They don't give you any thinking time as well. It is just, that's the end of the movie, done.
Do you think they'd still blow up the city after that?
No,
because they were talking,
the spaceship just goes off, and presumably once it sucks them all up and flies away, the plague is done with, presumably.
I don't know because they only explored that ship for 5 minutes, found 3 aliens, brought them back. The ship, I don't know, does it have a mind of its own? Could it come back?
But the ship was sucking up the souls, and so once you kill Matilda May, there's no way the souls can get up into the ship. That's what they explain, although it's so throwaway. But they need her to get fucked by Carson in order for the souls to keep going up for some weird reason.
Yeah, okay. But when the ship flies away, doesn't it still have like the souls like glimmering
Well, it's got
inside it? So that
yeah, it's still got some. Like it did some of the job.
yeah, but couldn't something then happen from those souls? Could there be something else in the ship that could use them? The ship's going away by itself, but surely, like, does it have a mind, or is there someone else in control? Like, I think they left it very wide open for a sequel. Like, there's definitely a lot more going on.
Who knows? Maybe they were planning on one. I doubt it, though. Like, I feel like the moment this didn't even crack 50% of its budget back, they were like, "Yeah, we're never touching this again."
Yeah, but I think there still was an idea maybe for another one, but yeah. So whenever that happens, it's very unlikely that you're going to make a second film.
It's true, yeah. But I would definitely watch a sequel to this or a remake of this in a no sweat. I would happily watch something.
Yeah, I'd be up for that too.
I gave it a 10 out of 10. What are you giving it?
I'm going to give it about 6.5. I'm not going to go because I think you got a soft spot for this film, so you're rating it very highly. For me, I mean okay. Don't be upset. Don't be sad.
No, I'm not sad. I'm not upset. And if you want me to be objective, then I'd come down to a 7.5.
Ooh, 7.5 is still quite high, I would say. But
of course it is. But it's it's still biased. But it's the lowest amount of biased I can go. I know it's not the best film ever made.
Biased.
Exactly. So I know it's not the best film ever made. And I know I'm overrating it, but if I'm being objective, I still think there's a whole lot of movies to enjoy.
Yeah. I was going to say, although I give it a 6.5, I'd still say, if you're a film person, watch it because it's worth it still. There's a lot happening. There's a lot to talk about. A lot happens, actually. That's an interesting thing, actually, to worth mentioning, because some movies that are that I might put around the same marker, around 6 or 6.5. Not much happens, really. It's quite straightforward, but it just misses something. This film is missing something, but still a lot happens. There's a lot to unpack when you watch it, which is worth discussing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, yeah.
There's a whole lot. I mean, how long have we been recording?
1 hour and 9 minutes now.
And you know what? I still feel like we could go into more details, but
I feel like I need to watch it again and see if there's more stuff I didn't spot.
Oh, there's loads, man. There's loads. I really like this film. I've got a really, really soft spot. Really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think Toby Hooper's a good little director.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we are Film Shrapnel. Go check us out on all the social medias. We're on that app formerly known as Twitter. We're on that YouTube's. We're on TikToks, although we're not really touching that for now. What else are we on, Craig? Are we on anything else? Are we on Facebook?
Instagram as well.
We're on Instagram. Holla back.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
You'll find us everywhere. And if Spotify is not for you, you can find us on all manner of other podcasting platforms such as Podbean, Apple Podcasts, sorry, the Amazon one. We're just everywhere. We're everywhere. There's been a pandemic of film shrapnel. We have spread like
a zombie apocalypse. Yeah.
Indeed.
What are we doing next time? I think we might have an episode on what's it called? Dark Star.
This is it. Yeah, we've done a Toby Hooper film. We're going to now let's do Dark Star, which will be a John Carpenter film. I can't believe John Carpenter was the one to make Dark Star.
Yeah, I'm still very surprised that he made this.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens. We're a bit ad hoc at the minute, but yeah, stuff is coming. So
stuff is coming. I think we're in sci-fi month now, Craig.
It's turned into sci-fi month.
I mean, like, Dark Star's, what, 74? So maybe we're like 70s, 80s sci-fi this month.
Yeah, it's a good period. I like it. It's fun.
We'll do 75 to 85. That's our period that we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Great.
My name's Tobias. This guy's called Craig. And until next time, we are Film Shrapnel.
Film Shrapnel.